This video was made possible thanks to the support of our amazing patrons. We couldn't do this without you.
Don't forget that you can support the channel for free and receive 10% off orders over $10 at Flipside Gaming by using the promo code Affinity at the checkout. Or if TCG Player or Magic Madhouse are more your thing, then be sure to place your order through our affiliate links in the description. Once again, at no extra cost to yourselves. Hello everyone and welcome back to Affinity for Commander. My name is Alex and today we're going to be looking at what I would consider to be probably one of the best, if not the best, Landfall Commander ever printed in Magic the Gathering. Omnath, Locus of Creation is a 4/4 legendary creature elemental for 1 red, 1 green, 1 white and 1 blue. He reads, when Omnath, Locus of Creation enters the battlefield, draw a card. He also has Landfall, for whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 4 life if this was the first time this ability has resolved this turn. If it's the second time, you add red, green, white and blue to your mana pool. If it's the third time, then Omnath deals 4 damage to each opponent and each planeswalker you don't control. So let's talk about these abilities. Firstly, he draws a card. Instantly top tier. On the first instance of Landfall, you gain 4 life, which is... it's okay. But on the second instance of Landfall, that's where things start to get spicy. Adding 4 coloured mana to your mana pool means that our acceleration and what cards we can play is going to blow everyone out of the water. After all, this means you can very easily have at your disposal 9 mana on turn 4. That's getting into uncomfortable CDH level territory. And I mean uncomfortable like trying to fit back into size 10 jeans after quarantine, which it just ain't happening. Just imagine turn 4 Omnath, Locus of Rage, turn 4 Rampaging Baloths with tokens, turn 4 Avenger of Zendikar. Wait, that's not good. Look, my point is, having all that mana so early on is an incredibly powerful ability. But his third instance of Landfall, that's where things start to get even scarier. Being able to dome all of your opponents for 4 damage and their planeswalkers just for playing a third land, that's nothing to scoff at. In fact, over the course of a game, if we're able to trigger this twice, even 3 times, that's a total of 36 damage that this one card is leveling out, just by playing lands. That's not even activated. Eat that, Winggrace. However, this will require us to bend the rules of Magic just a little bit to allow us to have 3 lands enter play in 1 turn. So, let's have a look at how we can do that. Azusa, Lost But Seeking, is an obvious contender for this. As with her ability, we can do all 3 landfall triggers in the same turn. However, she is the only card with this ability printed on her, so we're going to have to find cards that only have a single time use that we can stack together. Mina and Den Wildborn, Dryad of the Ilsean Grove, Wayward Swordtooth, or for the less economically restrained, then Oracle of Moldiah and Burgeoning are also great options. In fact, a new card from Zendikar, the Ancient Green Warden, also has the ability printed on it. It also has an ability that I would quite frankly consider, combined with Omnath, to be, what would the phrasing be, that's it, completely bonkers. As with the next line of text, whenever a land enters the battlefield, Omnath's abilities will trigger twice, meaning that if you play 3 lands with both of these cards out, you will gain 8 life, add 8 mana to your mana pool, and dome all opponents for 8 damage. And that is again without casting a single spell. However, there is more than one way to skin a Felidar, so let's look at some different means to answer our landfall question. There is the obvious Kodama's Reach, Cultivate, Skyshroud Claim, but even I'm getting tired of saying those. So let's look for some spicier options. Harrow, the budget builder's friend, is great for triggering Omnath's abilities, provided that we've already played a land this turn. Crop Rotation is great for grabbing any land that we need for mana fixing, or just in case we need that strip mine right gosh darn now. Other cards, just Far Seek, Far Wanderings, or a personal favourite of mine, Elvish Reclaimer, are also all great means of grabbing lands from our decks. And the Reclaimer has that lovely line of text that allows us to get any land we want from our libraries. And with all of that out of the way, let's start looking for some other cards to help abuse our immense landfall possibilities. And here is where I think Omnath really starts to come into its own as a commander, because being in 4 colours, we now have access to cards that other landfall-based commanders can only dream of. Yeah, eat that, Gitrog. Imaria Shepherd for some of the best recursion around, especially if we're triggering her ability several times a turn. The new white enchantment Felidar Retreat is also fantastic for generating us cat bears, or just antheming our team up to high heaven. Admonition Angel is also great for mass Oblivion Ring style effect to get rid of any problematic permanents that might be eyeing up our board state funny. Oh, and also quick little tip for this card. Let's say you have the Angel out and a card that you really don't want to die, like say Omnath, because it's getting to late game and he's starting to cost a fair bit. So, in response to the inevitable mass board wipe, you can just simply crack a fetch, and with the land entering the battlefield trigger, exile Omnath underneath your Angel, meaning that when that Wrath resolves, you get your commander right back. Now, yes, everyone gets back the cards that you exile with the Angel, but there's not a lot you can do about that. You may as well try and save your commander whilst you're at it. Obviously, all previous Omnaths would be great includes in this deck, with the previous saving us on green mana, the Rage granting us fantastic tokens, and of the Royal giving us more value in card draw, and +1/+1 counters are always nice. But if it is more of a token-based strategy we're going for, then we can use cards like Zendikar's Royal, Titania, Priest of Argoth, as well as Emiria Angel to generate loads of elemental and angel tokens that can fight alongside shoulder to shoulder or wing to viney, branchy arm thing. I'm not really sure how that would work. Or if we're looking to draw more cards in the mono blue deck, then Tireless Tracker is a great little include to help stay on theme, as well as make sure that we don't have to take up a slot for something like Sphinx's Revelation or Dig Through Time, as this little guy helps us draw cards from our lands. So that's the ramp and value of this deck out the way, and we've got the normal win conditions of sheer power with Omnaths, or just slapping people in the face with angels over and over again. However, I am ashamed to admit that this is probably the area where Omnath might fall down a little bit, as without access to black like Windgrace and the Gitrog monster, we don't have any manner of combo potential without Dakmor Salvage. But if you've been following the channel on Twitter, which of course you should be because we're hilarious at 4Commander, but for those who have been, you know that I've been on a crusade to try and find good ways to break this elemental, and I can now conclude that we have definitely found a few. To start with, we need bounceable lands, so Oboro, Palace of the Clouds, and Ghost Town are going to be needed for this. And before anyone starts, yes, I know Ghost Town is only during your opponent's turn, but when you see what we're planning, you'll realise speed restrictions are nothing we need to worry about. Then, after bouncing our lands, we can use cards like Secura Tribe Scout or Llanowar Scout to tap and put the lands back into play from our hand. Now all we need is some means of untapping the creatures whenever a land enters the battlefield. Except we have just the card. Retreat to Coral Helm has Landfall to untap target creature whenever a land enters the battlefield. Which means with a combination of these 3 cards, we can now have infinite landfall triggers. Which, using this loop, you can either generate infinite tokens with any of these lot, or you can generate infinite damage with Spitfire Lagak or Kosi's Ravager. But if that's not convoluted enough for you, then just bear with me, as we can use cards like Deadeye Navigator or the new Emile the Blessed to get our commander in on the fun. And you know when a sentence starts with Deadeye Navigator, you know it's going to be degenerate. Yes indeed, by using the mana produced by Omnath's second Landfall ability, we can flicker him using either Deadeye or our Unicorn's abilities, thus allowing him to see the land entering the battlefield 3 new times, which will introduce us to the wonderful world of infinite life, infinite coloured mana, and infinite damage to all of our opponents, and their planeswalkers for all the relevance that has. So, just to field a few questions, does this in fact require at least 4 cards to pull off? Yes. Is this in fact massively convoluted? Also yes. But we are also in 4 out of 5 colours of Magic, so if you really want to turn this deck into something a bit more consistent, if that's the route you want to go down, you can just run all of the tutors as well in the form of Enlightened Tutor, Worldly Tutor, Eldrim's Call, anything you want to be able to grab up any of these cards to allow you to make this convoluted dream of elemental damage a reality. After all, this particular route of play does have a few redundancies in it, and by that I mean cards that are different but will do essentially the same thing. Take our pingers for example. Very different cards, but when we're having infinite landfall triggers, the effects of them don't really matter. But there is a caution here, as the only redundancy we do not have is with our retreat enchantment, as there is no other card that has this type of untapping on a landfall triggering effect. So be sure not just to run this card out randomly and let it be Crossing Gripped or just Rex-Saged away. Make sure you wait for the opportune moment. And now moving back to my original statement, do I still think that Omnath is one of the best landfall commanders? Yes, and it's because of his wide variety of strategies, which yes does kind of come from the fact that he is 4 colours, but that's not just it. With his multiple landfall triggering ability, every single game that gets played with him will be very different. You might just be able to outlast everyone because of that lovely 4 gaining of life every turn, or you might be able to get that convoluted dream going, or you might just be able to outvalue everyone by being able to play those big and bombastic spells before anyone else by having that 4 additional mana nearly every turn. And that is why Omnath is my favourite landfall commander, because he has so many different routes to victory, and anytime one of them is closed off, there's always another way to get around it. Something that I feel other landfall commanders are kind of lacking. So eat that, the rest of you. And now get in the 99. And that will be the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, before you run off, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video if you enjoy this type of content. And tell me what your favourite legend from Zendikar coming is. Maybe it's Omnath, maybe you disagree with me, let me know in the comments below. As always, you can follow us on Twitter at 4Commander, or if you really like the channel, you could consider becoming a patron of it yourself, with access to exclusive and fantastic Commander-based rewards. But that will be all from me for now, so as always, I've been Alex, and I will see you next time.